Let's talk all about AI in business. It's hosted by Brent Muller. Welcome to the Future Proof Podcast.
And welcome to the latest episode of the Future Proof Podcast. I'm your host, Brent Muller. I got a really exciting guest today, and I'll introduce Christian here in a second. Real quick, for those of you just joining the podcast, we specialize in SaaS and B2B growth, helping companies scale their revenue. We built our own AI-powered platform, which is getting tremendous results. And it's really just about getting our clients more sales qualified conversations. So if you want to learn more about what we do, just stick around. Or if you're interested in just in a simple one-on-one conversation with us, just drop the word growth in the DMs or comments, and one of our team members will get something set up with you. But let's get to today's episode. So let me welcome today Christian Johnson from Beautiful Brains. Christian, thank you for spending some time with us.
Great to be with you, Brent. Thank you for asking me.
Yeah, awesome. So we always start with the founder's journey. So talk to us about your background. You have a really cool story. So for all the viewers out there, please, kind of walk us through it.
So honestly, I feel like I've always been an entrepreneur my whole life. My mother always and my father always said that. I've always tried to start new things and businesses. Where I really started to come into my own was I started in 2010-ish, 10, 11. I started a safe driving product called Driver Watchdog. And it was really in response to a lot of things. One, I had a son who was getting ready to drive, and my anxiety was going crazy. He was not happy about me inventing this product, but it was a way to keep an eye on him and make sure he wasn't texting and driving and those things. And, if he was pulled over or anything that was going wrong, the product would alert me. And so it was something that was driving me to do that, which is really how all of my businesses come about. It's like comes from passion. And during that time of it, going through all of the things with Driver Watchdog and putting a team together, raising capital, just hounding investors and, going to all of all of that hard work. And, at that time, I'm a Black woman in tech, and it really wasn't the space, that there was a lot of Black women in tech, back in 2009, 10. So there was a lot of barriers, visible barriers and things that I had to overcome. We got very far, and, I've done all the big shows like South by Southwest, and President Obama, in 2016, he invited me to the White House to represent up-and-coming entrepreneurs, which was an amazing experience that I just,
really, really cool.
Remember forever. Yeah, it was the coolest experience. And from there, the market started changing. And it was one of the hardest things, because, when you have a business, it's almost like having a baby. And
it absolutely is. And it's like, you protect it like it's your own, right?
Yeah. And so the hardest thing was recognizing that all this work, all this time and stuff that I put into it, and the market was changing, and cars were getting smarter, and there was built-in cameras now, and there was all this technology that was catching up to what I was trying to do. And so having to part ways was very emotional for me.
Absolutely. But also, to your credit, right? You saw, hey, look, is this something that I want to compete with, or do I got to pivot? And you weighed those options, decided to pivot, which is probably really smart at that time.
It's something
but probably very difficult too.
Very difficult. Yeah. And it was something because it became my identity, right? It was like, right. I was getting all this recognition for it. And, it's something my mentor always tells me is like, you are not your business. And that was something I had to deal with. Like, I'm not.
That's a hard one to come to grips with, isn't it?
It's difficult, right? Because you become your business. Yeah. And to know that, like, well, if I started this, I could start something else. And it's like, you go back and forth.
Yeah. That's a smart mentor. Not everybody would say that. That's good. Good for you.
His name is Rashad Howard. He's great. And he's always been my mentor because, I am, as entrepreneurs, when we recognize opportunities, I am quick to just go, right? And a good mentor will reel you back in and kind of say, okay, let's strategize. Let's make sure that we're not just jumping off the cliff and building a plane on the way down. So yeah, and I had to part with that. And I did pivot to Beautiful Brains in 2016, going into 17, which is a New York State minority woman-owned business. We started as a product sales company and consulting firm. And we worked on subcontracts for the Defense Logistics Agency for a while, and then COVID hit, right? And
And
then
then COVID hit.
COVID hit, and it just changed everybody's lives. And it was like I was just watching everybody, and the government was going home, everybody's going home, working from home. There wasn't consulting contracts even being thought about.
Right.
World was in a panic, and I just remember everybody just panicking, like, we're everybody's gonna lose their jobs. What are we gonna do? And I just started thinking, well, how could we help? Right? Beyond a business opportunity, like how can we help? And I have older parents. We all use these hospitals around here, right? And we're very connected. I'm on a board of a large hospital. So I wanted to figure out how to weigh beyond first, before making it a business model, seeing how we can help our community. And that's really how BrainWave Products under Beautiful Brains was born, which is our medical line. We had very strong international global supply chains already set up, and we were able to tap into those supply chains. Factories were able to pivot and start making the products that were needed, that hospitals just couldn't get, right? The government was coming in, taking up a lot of the product, and it was just, so yeah, and we started doing that. We gained a reputation of being able to deliver. I have pictures of me and my brother, who is my COO, who on U-Haul trucks delivering masks in the middle of Buffalo winters.
I love it. I love it.
Blizzards, delivering masks to the hospitals. Yeah, and we were able to turn that into a business model, and it's been working, and we've been successful. And we were just named the fastest growing business in New York in 2023. By the University of Buffalo. So it's been a great journey.
Really, really cool. I love it. And I love the pivot that you made during COVID, right? I mean, you were delivering PPE products because you just saw that there was a need, right? Jumped in, you had the relationships and the supply chain and logistics, and yeah. And by the way, not every entrepreneur thinks about, how to pivot that way. And we've had a couple just like yourself that embraced that during COVID, right? Because they had similar relationships in their area. So talk to me about, brainwaves or beautiful brains, and kind of your vision for it and how things have changed over the last few years.
Let's see. So because
you've evolved your product line, right? It really well. Yeah.
We did. And so in this space, there's just, so how do I say this? Being a small business, obviously there's a lot of red tape, there's a lot of barriers. It's very hard to be competitive with our large competitors in our space because we just don't have the volume, we don't have the business. Volume drives down price, and that's just what it is. And so our partners, our customers have really, like, they love us because, again, we're that gritty business that are going to be on the docks ourselves if we need to. And they have been able
You're the roll up your sleeves type. I love that.
It's all hands on deck. I mean, I'm the CEO. We have a team, but we're all in, all hands on deck. It doesn't matter our title.
Yeah.
We have to get the job done. And so our customers love us for that. And they have been helped. One customer in particular has been able to help us, which is something I've been trying for years, become a manufacturer for the largest distribution company of medical supplies. And I've never been able to get through that red tape. And so one of our customers stepped in and really advocated for us to the point they said, well, we won't do business with you unless you do business with them. And that was a game changer for us, right? So just little things like that we take our reputation very seriously. It's not all about money and making money for us.
No, deliverability, doing right by your customer, right? All the right core values, the money comes with that.
It comes when you do good business. So, you asked me about a cool customer, or did you ask me that?
Yeah.
Just going off for my own interview.
Yeah, it's great.
I work closely with all levels of leadership in New York State, right? And so a lot of my give back, I always say that being an entrepreneur is like resistance. Like, my mentor says it's his activism. And so trying to get companies to understand how to engage with large corporations is a thing, right? Because you could be a business, but if you have a large corporation, they have certain processes and things that you don't want to disrupt. So that's kind of the mentorship that I do. I've mentored. I was a professor at the University of Buffalo teaching an entrepreneur class. I do it for my daughter's school, right? So I do it all the time in the community.
I love that. But that's your give back, right? Yeah.
My give back. And I love it. Like, I love teaching people how to do this. But the Buffalo Bills, I'm Bills Mafia, just so you know.
Love it. You should be.
I'm
I saw it.
definitely.
Yeah. People can't see your shirt, but it's got it. Yeah.
It doesn't. It says Buffalo Kids, but yes,
Yeah.
Buffalo is my hometown,
Yeah.
and so we're huge, obviously, football team base here, and I work closely with the Bills, and one of the things, and they're building a new stadium here, and they brought me in to figure out how do we engage the community, how do these small businesses become part of this multi-billion-dollar project that we're doing. And so we came in to help identify where the areas are, because again, it's very hard for small businesses to engage on these super large projects, right?
Right.
So we mentored them in that way to try to help them get contracts. And to her credit, our senator, April Baskin, was a good friend of mine. I worked very closely with her. She set up these programs so that, and really got dollars for these small companies who would have never been able to engage in this large project like that without, this type of mentorship. And it worked. And the Bills loved it. Everybody from management, the ownership down, they loved it. And it was just such a cool project to work on.
Yeah.
And to be engaged with a team that, this is generational. We love them so much.
Yeah.
And that was super cool.
Really, really cool. And yeah, so I love that. Talk to me about kind of as you look down the road, right? The next couple of years. What do you envision for the company?
For my company, I want to
Yeah.
be the largest product manufacturer in the world. And so I liken to like a Granger or a Cardinal Health or something like that, but we have a very specific niche of products that we'll be offering. I want to be able to build a large R&D team, because like just creating and inventing things is just something I actually love to do.
Yeah.
Identifying problems and figuring out solutions.
That's a gift, by the way. Yeah, that's the entrepreneur 101, right? Mantra, but yeah, that's awesome.
It's something I always say it's not in you. It's not on you, it's in you. Cause
In
it's
you,
like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Cause it's like, it's just something, and everybody's like,
It's your lens of the world because you have that entrepreneur thought, like you have a different lens. Other people overlook it and you're like, whoa, that's a problem. I can fix that. Yeah.
yes, all the time, to a fault. So it's like, okay, stop. You can't, you gotta focus on one thing. You don't want to, focus on everything. But yeah, it's true.
Well, that's how you help drive your brother nuts, right?
Oh my God.
Because then if you come up with the idea, he's got to implement it.
Oh my gosh. He is my brother is like, honestly, I say it in every speech of any award I've ever won. I'll just be like, he is my right and left hand. He doesn't just like do the operations. He's picking up my daughter from school. He is like, you know what I mean? All the things I have to
Yes.
do.
Love it.
Yeah, he's there.
And so what are some of the challenges of getting there? Like, is it expanding the product line? Is it hiring the right staff? Like where do you see the challenges and the opportunities?
Immediate challenges right now is tariffs, right?
Yeah.
I don't know where they're going. And
Yeah.
I'm a global supplier. I'm a international.
Right. So that we got to let that kind of burn in and figure out where it settles, right? And
Yeah.
where does it affect your margins and your
Where does it affect us? How does it affect us? However, goal within the next 2 years, 36 months is to bring all manufacturing to the United States. I want to manufacture everything here. And I'm not against that, right? So it's the labor that is a lot more expensive here.
Exactly.
There's reasons why people go overseas, but with this current administration and their agenda of bringing manufacturing back to the United States, I'm down with that. It just has to make sense. And as long as we can figure out how to make it make sense, that is my goal to do. And I would produce everything here. And so we're working on those things.
So let me ask a question along those lines, because my brain immediate, because again, I'm so emerging tech focused right now because of what AI and automations can do. That leads into, if we bring that manufacturing over here, how do you see the emerging tech kind of influence that? Because that's how you have to balance the labor costs, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And 80% of my workforce is veterans, right? Like we love veterans, we support veterans. So work with the DoD. I mean, we do. So I'm not necessarily interested in taking jobs or replacing jobs from them. I'm interested in having it be a supportive tool. So my mentor, I spoke about, my partner, he has an AI company. He's developing AI tools so that obviously can make our job easier. Automation, that's just part of the game. I mean, that just makes it more cost effective for us to continue to do it, to scale the way we need to. So we're always looking at new technology, but in a supportive way, not necessarily
So I'll give you a great, so along those lines, so something you can use, right? So we've coined the term here, and I have several of our podcast guests have used it in different ways, but Alexander from Smith OS is the first one that I heard it from, but he calls them digital coworkers. And he said what AI right now and automation should be doing is making your good employees 2 to 5 times better. And to me, that if you have that mindset, it's not about replacing people. It's how do we make them better, more efficient, greater at their job, and take away the mundane stuff that they have that really bogs them down. And so
Yes.
that's the way we look at how do we free them up to do the
Yes.
important stuff.
So to that point, I told you I'm on the board of a hospital, and we are looking at and kind of have an AI solution for, let's just say, revenue cycle management, right? All of the bills that get rejected by the healthcare company because there's maybe a coding error or there's a little tiny error, right?
Mhm.
You bring AI in
Mhm.
to completely wash that data, make sure there's no errors. Not only is it increasing the hospital's cash flow, but it's taking that work, that mundane work you just said, off of employees, internal employees that have to go through, figure out the coding, figure out what the error is. All
Right.
that's gone.
And it's a waste of their time.
5 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And AI does that in 5 minutes. So, I mean, people are a little nervous about AI and they're like, oh my God, it's gonna take over the world. No, it's actually a tool that can help you. Another thing that we're looking into is like kids. How do they learn? If they have an AI companion going through grades with them and they're learning with them, it could teach them
If
in
we
different
can
ways.
govern it, I totally agree with that, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
that part.
yes.
That part.
Yeah. And exactly it's why I tell everybody do their research in tools like Perplexity so you at least get all the sources cited so you know it's not just pulling random, crap out there, right?
Yeah,
It's pulling from
exactly.
the right sources. So in education, and we had somebody on and we're hopefully gonna have him on down the road, but talked about that is the kids need AI to be governed differently. So it's pulling from the sources where the curriculum was based out, right? So I hope that we can get to that.
Well, yeah, so it's not open source and just pulling from it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
got it. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
absolutely. And like you said, it needs to be governed very specifically. I don't want,
yeah.
if my kid has an
But
AI companion, I don't want everybody to have
right, we
access.
don't want them doing the work for them, but we want it. They
That's
need a companion because it's not going away, and so they need to grow up with it. Just like this previous generation grew up with the smartphones, right? And it's just second nature to them, right? This generation's got to grow up with AI companions and how to use it the right way.
absolutely. I
Yeah,
agree 100%.
yeah.
Um,
I love
and
that you're involved in all this stuff, Christian. This is fantastic.
thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. I
When do you
mean,
sleep?
when my daughter sleeps, I had a 13-year-old, so I'm also her maid and cook and everything else for her too. So this is like my part-time job.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So, any other impacts that you see for kind of where AI is going especially in your industry, right? How do you see the impact happening there? And because again, you're talking about from product inception, product development, all the way through the supply chain and the manufacturing piece. So,
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, we have a really, I can't name the company, but it's largest customer in the world. We
mhm.
have them now. Yeah, and we're doing a program with them for sustainability. So we're looking at, without getting too much into it, how AI can analyze all of our data, because what we're trying to do is create this circular economy for all of the PPE they wear. So like safety
Mhm.
vests and gloves, all of that, we are, how do we recycle it? Where is it going? Is it landing in landfills? And we want to be able to track that life cycle. So we're looking at which AI tools we can, maybe we barcode or QR code each of the products, whatever we do, and then have that tool be able to follow that life cycle. So that's one of the things when it comes to our sustainability
Hey, if
process.
we can do that, you think about if we could do that with packages from Amazon through FedEx and UPS all the way through, why can't we do it through the supply chain?
Exactly, exactly. And like, for instance, for that project, some of the bags we use, we can track the bottles that are about to go into the ocean. And like, it's videos of the women's picking the bottles, recycling this into a bag that we're sending back to repackage, and exactly where that bag came from, right? So we're that whole entire circle we want to
I
close
love
to
that.
track it with AI. There's so many. I mean,
Yeah.
AI is I call my AI Sasha. She's my best
It,
friend. She's
I love it.
that's my chat.
I think everyone should name their AI, right? Because it's like,
My
yeah,
best friend. And so
yeah,
like she has now learned me. So like anything I'm putting in, she understands how I think. That to me, that's invaluable. And
yeah,
it just takes away so much work that we have to do, manual
yeah.
work. and that we can get to the creative part.
Yeah, and it's funny. So let me ask you a question along that line. So you're using it. It sounds a lot the way I use it, and I have some clients and, on my consulting side, right? And I see how they're still steeped in the way they've always done it. Like they're on their SharePoint and hunting for documents. And I'm like, have you used ChatGPT? Like, I mean, it's
I'll tell you.
mind-boggling to me. Yeah. And I'm like, you just spent like half an hour searching for a doc and you could have got it in 2 seconds, and they're just not employing it or not implementing.
2 seconds. I mean, there's so many different things. If you have proposals, do you know how government proposals take time, money,
That's a lot of
resources,
work.
effort to respond to an RFP? And it's like, I can put that in ChatGPT. It is going to outline exactly all my deadlines, everything that I need to do. It's going to set up the folders I need to set up for it. Like, it completely changes. And you have somebody who's going to take a month to do that, right? To get everything together and make sure it's submitted properly. And Chat is going to do it in 10 minutes.
Well, that's going to do it real quick. But if the person using the AI, like to your point, we were talking about as an AI companion, right? Or a digital coworker, they could get that task that would take them a month down to, a couple hours at max, right? Of going back and forth with it.
And now they're just reviewing. And now they're just reviewing it, and then they send it off. Right. So I would want my employees working like that, smarter, not harder, right? And so, yeah.
Love it. All right. Well, so now you gave me one. It's the natural lead in. Christian, tell me something you as the founder do, because you do a lot with it, right? So what would something other founders and CEOs would think would be a really cool tip or trick if you have one or two that you do with AI?
I do a lot with it. I think one of the things I love to do is my lessons learned through chat.
So that's a great one.
So like for this project that we're standing up, right? We're figuring out as we go along. But I put it into chat. I put my bullet points into chat. And then later I'll say what worked and what didn't work, and tell me why it didn't work. And then it'll come all together. So that's my lessons learned. And I do that quarterly on really all of my aspects of my business, just as a review. And instead of me like watching and tracking and figuring it out and going to everybody and saying, how did this work? It just spits it out for me. Now I can have a meeting and I can say, guys, this is what worked. This is what didn't. This is where we have to adjust. It's just that simple. So love that.
Is phenomenal. I have not heard that, and I want to do that. That's a really great idea. This is why we do this, because
I would love to see your other ideas that your other founders come up with.
They're now going out weekly. You'll see them coming out. But one of my favorites is from Kim Mahan, which I sent out today. It's basically the AI mentor prompt, and it's because sometimes you can't get to your coach or your mentor or your advisor, right? If you have advisors on a board, and this is the one you can interact day to day, and then it makes those conversations when you do have a sit down or the conversations with them that much more productive, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So growth question. If I give you a magic wand, you can fix one thing in your business that would help you meet or exceed your growth goals, especially you have big ones, which I love, right? Tell me what you would use the magic wand for.
Influx of capital.
Always, right?
Influx of capital.
Capital makes you go faster, right? If you know how to invest it right. Yeah.
Well, and it's also a killer because you can have a great opportunity, but if you can't capitalize, if you cannot fund it and scale, you lose it. And that's a killer of businesses. So, not just to have a big pot of money, but have a pot of money for us to grow. It would be my magic wand.
I love that. Love that. So for all you VC and PE people and funding people that we've had on the podcast and are watching this, Christian can go faster, right? So make sure we get in touch with her. Christian, you have been just so much fun today. I love this. I could definitely talk to you for hours. I love the way you think. I think very similarly to you about solving problems and growth. But I know we're going to put all the links below when this thing goes live. But tell everybody how to get in touch with you and engage with Beautiful Brains.
Sure. So Beautiful Brains, it's beautifulbrains.com. And you can always go there to see all of our capabilities. For me, my handle is I'm just Christian J. And I'm actually starting, I do things like celebrate other women, especially for Women's Month, so you'll see on my Instagram handle that, I do a lot of celebrating of other entrepreneurs. I do videos of what makes us, what makes our lives easier. So if there's a product out there that can make my life easier, quicker, I'm all about it. So I do some of that. And then I'm doing coaching. So I'm putting together my coaching classes that will be online, and you could just subscribe and watch that. So it's not really Beautiful Brains focused on my Instagram because we're really
Right.
B2B type of business, but it's more about me and the company and the founders and like just our lives.
I
Right?
love it. I love it. Well, and this, you hit on a really important topic. I always tell people that come on, because founders and CEOs come in all shapes, sizes of companies and industries. Traditionally, you haven't had to worry about building a personal brand because that's not how the companies were. It was always about the company brand. And that's still massively important.
Yeah.
But outside of that, and I believe podcasting is one of the mediums, but all of your social media is also. But I feel like you have to build your personal brand as a leader now more than ever because of the way in which content and people follow, content's consumed, people follow. So it's not just, like you said, Beautiful Brains, but it's about Christian J and all the things that you do to give back. And that's what I encourage founders and CEOs to make sure that they're doing the same thing, is get out on podcasts, get your name out. It's not always comfortable, but I think it's a necessary evil in today's world. Because think about it, right? You started a different product and was all about the driving product. Right. And now you're in a completely different place, but your brand, personal brand, spans all of that. And to me, I think what you're doing is really smart. And that's why anybody watching this podcast, please follow what Christian's doing. Is you have to have both. And it can't be just, hey, I'm ahead of this company, because what happens when you're not? Right?
Yeah.
You have to have that personal brand out where people know your expertise. And I love that you're giving back through the coaching. I really love that.
Thank you. You know, people like to do business with people they like. They want to see the behind the scenes, right? Like they want to see you're a real person. Like I cry every day because like entrepreneurship is not sexy. It's just
it's hard as hell.
Hard. And it's not, they see the fun side and, the vacations and all that stuff that you get as a reward of working hard. But the hard, that's why it's not for everybody. And so people want to see that. And I don't really sugarcoat it. Like you'll see, I'm in a t-shirt right now because I'm running in all different directions.
Because you wear like 15 hats, right?
You want to speak to HR? Hello. So I definitely like to give people that, like, I am not bigger than you. Like anybody could do this. It's just, we are real people behind the scenes. I have a daughter, I'm a single mom. This is what it is. And so, I don't want to always put on airs like I'm just always put together.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually think, another great point you just brought home is that I also think it is how you get to know people, like on podcasts like this.
Yeah.
Is you get to see the realness, right? No one's got it figured out. Anybody that says they do, like, honestly, you can be Jamie Dimon from, Chase Bank. They haven't figured out either.
I know what you're doing. I know.
Right.
I know.
And no one has it figured out. And I think that's transparency. I think this is what makes people connect with other people, because then you can see how real they are.
Yes, I agree. And I just want to make a quick correction because I'm not on my social media. It's the only Christian J. That's my
love
Instagram.
It. Yeah, well, we'll put your links below. All right, we'll reach out to you, make sure that they're all correct here. But so thank you again for spending time with us, and it's been a delight.
Yes, thank you so much. It was great meeting you. I hope we can continue conversations in the future.
Absolutely. This is what we're all about, connecting people through this podcast. And so, but hey, that wraps up this episode of the Future Proof Podcast. And join us on the next one. But if you need any information, need connections, anything, just DM us and we'll get in touch and we'll help you out however we can.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christian.
Bye-bye.
If you're ready to embrace change and lead with innovation, be sure to subscribe and never miss an episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Future Proof Podcast.